we've been talking. Might as well get it started. So, welcome back to Dealing Seconds podcast. I'm Chris.
And I am dropping cards, Danny.
DCD. Okay, we're gonna call you that. DCD. Dropping cards, Danny.
Yeah, it's like PCP, but cheaper and something you don't want.
Yeah, true. We'll
You know,
go.
fuck my ring light today. It's really this time change is like has my whole room lighting completely off, and I didn't care to adjust it before coming on.
It's we're simple people. We're not professionals. We just like to have fun here. We like to
Yeah,
have a little bit of fun. That's all we do here. Um, so first off, we know we've been gone for a couple weeks. Just personal things we have to get on. And of course, as you guys are probably realizing, we're missing someone.
yep.
Yeah. John, unfortunately, John has a really demanding schedule with work, so he can sometimes be on. We can't get him sometimes just because our schedules don't always coincide with each other. So we try our
Yep.
best to. But John, we do miss you. We wish you were here. But hopefully next time we'll get something, or maybe
Yes.
we'll do something. We'll do another threesome. That'll be fun.
Uh. Well.
I mean,
Okay.
I mean, I
Wait.
mean,
Wait.
I mean,
Whoa.
if James was here, if
Let's go.
James, we need that and this with James. That's something we're never going to lose of, James. That's yours to the end.
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
Um, no, so Dan, I was thinking today we talk about something interesting. Within the past couple months, we've had a lot of Kickstarters hit, campaigns start and go live. Some have done really well. Some have, either not made it or canceled, things like that. Um, but I want to ask you a question because you are a creator. You have three decks successful on Kickstarter. You have a fourth one coming soon, senior year. FYI, plug in for Dan. Check it out. It's going to be dropping soon. He actually just posted. We're recording this on a Wednesday. He posted what's going to be on the Kickstarter. Trust me, go check his page out. Go check his Instagram.
Yes.
Link in the description below.
Yes.
Trust me. You want to see this. And
Yes.
he's
Let's
showing them right
go.
now. Yep, senior year.
Let's go.
That's going to be beautiful. So, my question to you, Dan, is
Yes.
we have seen this sometimes where like a campaign is maybe let's say a week out, right? 7 days from finishing its length of time, and they're
Mhm.
still short by let's say $2,000. Let's say just make it even 2,000, and out of nowhere in one day they had a $1,500 boost, and like how does that sometimes happen? Either I know, but like with you, with like freshman year, you had the whole community come together.
Like you coming at me, bro?
No, no, no. I'm trying, dude. I'm not coming at you. I'm not coming at you. No, but there are times where it's like you might not have people like, for example, like in your case, you had Daniel Schneider really push it out for you and really try to help you and get that thing going. You had a community and you had an influx of backers. But
Yes.
there are sometimes you see campaigns and it's like they're not getting that name recognition, they're not getting that like notoriety or like that spread of social media, but somehow they in one day they increased their funding goal by $1,500. And I think there's a website that you can track like it's like a
Yes.
thing that with Kickstarter you can track. But then it's like when you do that, it's like you go in there, you look at their campaign, and it's like maybe one or two people in one day and that equates to $1,500.
Yes.
So how does that happen?
Well, I don't think what one, if you do a Kickstarter and you don't know about this website, I'm not going to tell you what it is. If you don't know, well, I'm sorry. But yeah, you should know that the site exists where you can track your daily totals of everything to money, to backers and stuff like that. So, you can get called out if, there could be multiple reasons though. Maybe Magic Murphy's bought a gross or two grosses from you,
Hmm.
and that can happen one of two ways. Either they get wind of your project and they come a call in like, hey, we'd like to buy some decks, and then they'll offer you, do you want me to buy them after the campaign or do you want us to back the campaign? Right? So they kind of give you that option. Or the creator reaches out to Murphy's Magic, like, hey, I got this deck, come check it out. And then sometimes they'll back it. And if they do, I mean, that's an easy 12 to $1,600 or more, depending on the price of the deck, bump with one backer. So that's usually where you'll see a big random bump somewhere because in my case, on all three of my campaigns, I reached out to them after the early bird, like the first week after that, because after the first week, it kind of starts to
So,
slow down.
yep.
So I'd reach out to them so I get that bump. And yeah, it is kind of silly to use Magic Murphy some because you got to pay Kickstarter fees, right? At the end of the whole campaign. But like, but if they can bump it and help me get funded, then
Yeah,
I'll
but
gladly pay the fees.
yeah, and I see, and I would say that that's great. Like, especially like if you have, let's say, a 30-day campaign, and after a couple days, after a week, and all of a sudden you start dipping, like you don't see
Yeah,
the numbers going down. You want that number to go up so that way people get more interest because they're like, hey, you're getting closer and closer to your funding goal, so people are more inclined to back your project. So that I would see that during like maybe the second week. But if
yeah,
you're like less than a week out, let's say 5 days out, and all of a sudden one or two people, right? Like 1 to 2 people all of a sudden increase your funding goal by like $1,500. Of course,
right.
I'm making up numbers here. Just deck X, whatever you want to call it, not X decks. Sorry, Nate.
I was gonna say that was pretty close.
I know. Okay, deck Y. Okay, deck Y. Um, let's say you're like just short of 2,000. You're like 5 days out, 6 days out, and all of a sudden, boom, you get a bump by two backers, $1,500. You're super super close, and now you know things happen. Like I understand if you would say, "Hey, we just unlocked this." This big thing that we were saving to maybe we were almost at the stretch goal area, but it's like you haven't even reached funding goal yet.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
That's
like
so. So obviously everybody will at one point or another will question: Are they funding their own decks?
yeah.
That question does pop into everybody's mind, and yeah, people do.
And I
And why? But why would they? Why would you do that? Um, well, it's very easy. Many other scenarios or scenarios. If you're an asshole, if you know where that joke came from, you good one. Um, it could be there's some creators out there that easily can fund a deck themselves,
mhm.
but they don't want to take that jump or that risk. So they go, you know what? I'm going to set the goal a little lower, right? Sometimes they'll set it a little lower than it should be because they can go, well, I'll either, on the back end, if it funds, I'll pay for all the shipping or they'll cover other costs. Or,
Yeah.
yeah, I have a budget of $1,000. If I'm within 400 to 500, $600, or even 1,000, I'll just throw all of that in at one point to gain momentum because it is proven that, the first couple of days of your campaign are huge.
Yeah.
Then it dies, and then if you don't have any solid movement, nothing really happens. But if you get funded, then algorithm takes over and you usually see a spike after a campaign's been funded.
Mhm.
Then that opens up stretch goals and that whole fucking thing. But yeah, so some people will have a budget on their own, like, you know what, I don't mind throwing $1,000 if I can get this funded, right?
No, I completely agree. But my thing is like, wouldn't the creator want to be forthright with that and be upfront and be like, hey,
Some are
some are. I've seen that. Some are, and
and
some
some
aren't.
aren't.
Yeah, and then it's like, but then there's also those that like you said, they'll put their funding goal low
Yeah.
to get it funded easily. To get it super funded fast, and all of a sudden, but the question is like, we all know, like if you're a creator, I mean, we've designed decks. We designed a deck for us as well, and
Mm.
we know how much it costs to print 1,000 or 2,500 decks. And when you put your funding goal, like let's say even $3,000, so to speak, it's like, why don't you just say, hey, I trying to get this money to actually upgrade the tuck or the deck or whatever it is, but just say it in the beginning. Be like,
Yeah,
hey,
a lot of creators aren't going to say it outright, but if you ask them during the campaign, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is what I'm
yeah,
totally
no,
like
no,
I can make the basic deck. I'm trying to get that crush stock. I'm
yeah,
trying to unlock the
exactly,
better stock, right?
yeah.
Um, I know a few creators have done that, and but they're not outright about it, but they don't hide it from you either.
No, if you ask them, they will definitely tell you. But just
Yeah.
like sometimes it feels like why hide it? That's my thinking sometimes. Like
And
why
that's
hide
okay
it?
because like you know what, like I've got this really awesome deck, but I think it would be really better. It would be much better crush stock if you're going with USBCC, or like I can't afford the foiling, but I can fund the standard deck from Legends. Why not? I'm just trying to get that extra oomph to get
Yeah,
to the foiling part.
yeah.
So I mean, yeah, they're not going to be forthright because it has a bad stigma. It looks bad, even though I don't think it really is.
No,
You know,
I don't think it is at all. I think it's more like I think with our community, it's more like as much as you could be as transparent as possible. I think
yeah,
people are actually appreciative of that
like
more so.
like I put money into sophomore and junior. Like in the middle when it's really slow. I threw a couple hundred in. Now, truth be told, near the end, I backed it all off and it's still funded without it. I just needed that little extra, oomph. But then you mentioned something earlier about unlocking stretch goals before they actually unlock
Yeah,
to try to gain traction or whatever. That's a slippery slope.
it is, and because it's like when you like we've budgeted when we did our deck, we try to budget for a
Yeah,
certain thing, and it's like we cannot unlock this stretch goal unless we hit this amount of money, which is past the funding goal, because that costs another cost for us to do,
yeah,
let's say, a second deck or like whatever kind of upgrade or whatever it is. But to unlock that beforehand,
it's
and
risky.
it's very risky because now you're like, wait, you're promising these decks to the people who are backing them, and they're expecting that.
Yeah, and and I can tell you, I did that with junior year. I'm like, our sophomore year, I really wanted night school, which was the purple back, right? And I'm like, the best way to get there is the gilded decks because the profit margin on gilded decks is huge, and everybody knows it. It's not a secret, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I unlocked the gilded deck early, and while I did end up getting $16,000, I didn't get night school. Came close, but this was all during COVID, of course, and then the paper shortage hit when it came time for printing, and then I was in the red, man, big time. So that gamble hurt, you
It's
know.
it's like you gamble, you risk, and
Yeah,
if it pays off, it's great. If not, you're shooting yourself in the foot at the end of the day. And it's
yeah,
like,
and truth be told, that's why I mean junior year's goal should have been a lot lower than it was, to be honest, because WJPC isn't that expensive to cheat to print with. But I was scared.
I mean, but you know what? You had all, even though you had apprehension, it was well warranted because of what you went through,
Yeah. So
especially with
and look, I'm not 90% of us aren't in this to make money. You
no,
know, like my goal is for the project to fund the next project, like
yeah,
the prototypes. And if you hire a designer, like
yeah,
freshman year, I'm like, what? What? I bought my Xbox Series X with that money. You know, because I walked away with $1,200
there you go.
from freshman year. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
and at the end of the day, if that the extra profit that you made off the deck can at least, like you
yeah,
said, help pay for a designer, help pay for prototypes, or for like pictures, professional pictures done,
yep,
at least that's paid for, and you don't have to worry about it now. That's not
exactly.
it's
Yep.
not coming out of your pocket; it's coming out of what you've already made. So yeah, you net zero on profit, but hey, you're doing this is a hobby for us at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you know.
So if the first one funds the next one and then that funds the next one, you're a success because
Yeah.
all you did was put your own money in that first project, right?
Yep.
You invested in the first project. Now, I bought an Xbox with the first project. The second project, I didn't buy shit because I didn't have any money. I made that on the back end with the website I came out with for a little while, which is not in business anymore because no thanks. Um, and then junior year, paid for James to design my deck, paid for all these prototypes, paid for other prototypes that you haven't seen for it. I still have a good chunk of it, and I'm going to throw a lot into advertising because, well, this deck needs to be seen by as many people as possible once that campaign hits here
Oh
in a
no,
month or two.
for sure, for sure. But at least you know you
Mm.
already had a lump sum that you've used
Yep.
for that. But I think people don't realize, especially newer creators, don't realize how expensive the campaign can get. And you, especially as like first time creators, a lot of people don't realize like all the fees that you have to pay, whether it be Kickstarter fees or then shipping fees or, all these extra little things that add up at the end of the day. And then all of a sudden
Yep.
you're down like let's say you made your Kickstarter goal was 7,000 or let's say 6,000, but then you didn't account for shipping and fees. Now you're like, oh shit, that 6,000 is dropping down.
Drop people that don't pay after backing.
Exactly. Like people don't pay after backing, or you reach out to them, they don't update their credit card, or they don't pay, or things like that. So your numbers go down and down and down. And next thing you know, your campaign is in the red, and you're like, I have to come out of pocket for this now.
Yeah.
because
So I build that fear into it now.
yeah, it's
And
like
I
the,
know a lot I know a lot of creators do as well.
but you know what? I think it's the right thing to do, especially as a
Yeah.
business. Like you have to. But coming back around, it's more of like I feel like sometimes creators, unlike yourself, like you're one of those very few creators. Like if you come up and be like, "Hey Dan, what happened here? What happened here?" You will be completely honest. You're like,
And
"This is
I told people, I'm like, hey, so the gilded decks are going to be a little longer because they ran out of money because the cost went up on everything. So just bear with me, they will get made. And I did,
yeah."
I did get them
But
done.
you also told all your backers, like, "Listen, it's coming out of my pocket, not yours. I'm paying. I'm bearing the extra burden on this." So it's not you, and then and then you even said when the gilded decks were ready, you were gonna ship them out at
On
your
my dime.
cost, at
Yep.
your dime. Like you want to give them their original decks, what they got. The gilded you
Yep.
paid for out of your own pocket.
Yeah, it felt right. Like I'm not one of those creators that's going to ask for extra shipping when you've already paid for it because you fucked up your math. You just got to own it. And if it takes longer, you got to do it. You just got to be upfront with people. Don't
Yeah,
fucking lie or go hide about it.
I
That's the thing that pisses me off.
I think in general, if not this community in general, I think we just want to have transparency and be like,
Yeah.
hey, don't don't try to hide. Just be like, just come forward. We're not gonna. It's a small community, so we know what's going on. But at the same time, just be like, just be a decent human being and just be like, yeah, this happened. I'm sorry, this happened. Be
Exactly.
public with it. People might get upset at first, but at least they're gonna be like, hey, at least you
They'll
came
still get
out.
their decks.
Yeah,
You don't want to disappear and look like you just stole 30 grand,
exactly, exactly.
you know, because there's nothing that can be done. If your campaign funds $7,000 up to 100,000, whatever, you can just take that money and run. There's no legal recourse
Nope.
because Kickstarter is a Kickstarter. Yeah, it's clearly in the rules. We all have to click and agree. So
Yep.
yeah, it is a risk sometimes. But yeah, if you run into problems as a creator, man, you got to fucking tell people, and
Yeah.
and if it takes 2 years, yeah, I'm gonna get mad that it took forever to get a certain deck from somebody, even though it wasn't that expensive. Like you know, but did he eventually deliver? Yeah, it took forever, but here it is. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so, and I can't you can't say that for everybody.
No, no, you can't. And it's just like, some people treat this as like a business and, they just rather pump out whatever deck and get as much money as possible and they really don't
Right.
care about the community. But then there's the other, creators that do care and want to be forthright and want to be upfront with everything and just be like, hey, this happened. I'm sorry, but I'm fixing it.
Yep.
We are going to get it done at the end of the day.
Yep. And I think right now native tongue Brad with
Yeah.
the nightmare and dreams, like
Yeah.
he got his physical prototype, didn't like the way the foil was, put some changes in, and he's been ghosted for a while
Yeah.
from Legends. And he was up front like, guys, I'm fucking sorry, I don't know what to do, they're not getting back to me,
Yeah.
the proofs they sent me were wrong and we wanted to change it. And now he's like, oh, he's basically just like, I don't know what to do. So he's like researching. I haven't talked to him in a few weeks, but he's like researching for another printer. And he told us that too. He goes, I might have to print this somewhere else. And I know that's going to
Yeah.
cost him money
Yeah.
out of his pocket. I know
But,
that.
but he was upfront with it.
But he's
He's,
totally upfront with it. Am
he
I
said,
mad at him? Not at all.
no, you're upset because it's going to take a little longer.
Yeah.
Like, but you're not upset at him. You're upset more at the printer not getting back. So it's a different story. That is a different
Right.
story.
But like you said, he was transparent about it.
Yeah, and like you just said, if you're transparent, we're not upset with you. It's more of at least you told us, and we're not sitting in our
Yep.
heads thinking, where's the money gone?
What the hell?
What the hell? What the hell
Yeah.
happened to the decks? Like, but at least you're telling us.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that was just like a quick little thing that I wanted to get off my chest and ask you as a creator, like what your thoughts were about that. But
Yeah, and hey, to each is their own. And if people throw back their own projects, in the end, does it really matter?
no,
They're trying their damnedest to get a deck made, and you just putting your deck out there. That's what she said. Is like 80% of the battle, because who comes up with decks and never puts them out? Because they're too
exactly,
scared. They're scared of
exactly.
people hating on them. You know how much hate I got for freshman year from
Really?
United Cardist Forum? They fucking hated my deck. Well, guess what? It funded, so suck it. Like who cares?
Yeah,
You know?
you know, 80 to 90% of the people that think of making a deck never put it out there, never put
Yeah,
themselves
you
out
just
there.
got to do it. You just
Yeah,
put it out there.
just put it
You
out
know,
there.
if you're worried about it, try an NPC back deck. That way, you don't need a whole lot of backers for it. You know,
Yeah.
like just fucking do it.
On that note, we got to do a deck check. We haven't done that in a bit.
Uh,
Classy.
Thank you.
Lighter watch.
Whoa.
And the kickback. There was a double there. That was the cola.
There was a hiccup right there too.
There you go.
All
Now,
right. Well, you said deck check.
deck check. We haven't done one in a while. What are you using, Dan? I ask you first.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I am using a deck that came today. Speaking of Kickstarters, boom. Beacon,
nice.
not bacon. Beacon from Emily.
Sorry, Jamie.
Emily Slights 52. Okay, here.
I'm
I mean, the Lighthouse deck also is what we call it, right? The nighttime one, right? And then,
That's a beautiful tuck.
oh, look at that beautiful foil on a velvety soft tuck. Like, I could use this as a pillow almost, you know?
I am waiting for mine.
I look, we talked about her so many fucking times on this podcast. This is probably gonna replace my favorite deck of hers. I think I like this better than Evolution.
Interesting. I'm still waiting for mine. I got the tracking, so now I'm just waiting. It's close, so I'm hoping within the next few days.
And look at that. Look at that. Look.
Interior tuck foil,
Yeah.
tuck printing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Foil lighthouses. So yeah, Emily, good job. I like it. And what is Emily best known for? Broken borders.
Oof.
Right? She's got the broken border game down. So good job. I'll be playing with that for a few days.
Oh, that's gonna be pretty. That's gonna be pretty. I can't
I'll have
wait.
to put down my arrow threes.
Ah, yeah. See, speaking of arrows, what I am using is actually the bespoke big guy arrow edition.
The bespoke arrow edition.
Sorry for the light. I don't have my ring set up. So I'm using this one. Love it. There was a little error in the deck. I told Luke about it. He laughed his ass off, but then immediately wanted to make it right, which it's completely Luke. And Luke is ever the perfectionist, and you know how he is.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to it on Spotify, you might want to watch on YouTube. I'm going to do this, and you could probably figure out what is missing.
Sorry, it's funny.
There is something missing, and you could probably tell.
Luke.
Yeah, there were just a couple cards that either the file got corrupted or something on a couple cards that there was just like two things that were missing on the side to make the broken borders on the fans,
funny.
on the faces, which is funny. And I told Luke, he literally was like, "Come on." And then
I know he's had such a hard time with this campaign getting fulfilled by gamblers. Like he's just like a fucking another thing. God damn it.
Yeah. And imagine him saying it in a British accent. It's like,
God damn it.
bloody hell. Bloody hell. This is awful. I suck at accents, so I'm sorry, Luke. If you're listening to this, please don't listen. I'm sorry. But yeah, so as you could tell, right there in the front, that's what's missing. Just that little piece right there. So
Yeah.
But ever Luke always saying, he's gonna get them reprinted. Well, not the whole deck, just the cards, and have them sent out to me. So I'm like, okay. I told him immediately, like, you don't have to, because it's fine. This actually gives me character. I like it. It's fine. It would have made more sense if he did it on the 5 of clubs. Now that would have been awesome.
Is that because that's your card?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. See. Oh shit! Oh no!
As everything goes all over the place.
Oh, almost lost, but we got him. We saved the captain, or the fuck that is.
On the next edition of What's Around Danny's desk, his cards.
What?
It's one of those.
I mean, I've already showed you everything. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, I'm not slicing in here another 10 years later thing. No, it's not happening. And by the way, guys, if you were watching that video and that little clip came out like years later, yes, it was long. It was quite a while. It was at least a good 15, 20-minute length.
Good toothpick, flosser picker, right?
Okay.
What's up, bro?
On that note, guys.
This is about to go somewhere we don't want it to go. You know what I mean?
On that
But
note,
hey,
guys,
hey, quick and easy, short and squeezy, lemon peasy.
quick and easy. We'll
Podcast.
take it.
Hold on.
Not going anywhere.
Oh, hey, look at that! I cut right to the Ace of Spades. Isn't that lovely?
So on that note,
But
guys,
yeah. So on that note, guys, sorry. Thank you for joining another. What are we called? Oh, Dealing Seconds podcast. Um, where we talked about Kickstarters and lighthouses and arrows that are misprinted.
a little bit about everything today. So
Yeah.
talk to you later, guys. Peace.